language.
Okay.
But you're right, my wife and I talked about this.
Break it down.
What do I really?
Yeah.
Good morning, Neil.
Morning.
Just let you know, I talked to Veterans Affairs. She's gonna get back to us when she's ready with the budget, so
Pay for his Christmas.
I have called her, so, okay?
Oh, okay. Drop it off in his house. You want me to sign it?
Morning, Dean.
Oh, you did? Yeah, okay, then get away. Okay.
Morning, everyone.
Good guy.
Good morning.
Oh, boy, I see how that is.
Before we
It's finally coming to
officially begin, I want to thank everyone for the very nice plaque I got. We're gonna proudly display it wherever Rhonda wants it, I guess. So I am very, very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Don't forget, you're in charge of dusting it.
Okay.
Well, Neil, we're very appreciative of your service too, so.
Let's go back to school on the 4th.
I will get back to you guys this week on the order of the meeting next week, as soon as I get the confirmation from another party. So we may start here, go into closed session, and then have to go into a different Zoom for that. Because there's multiple parties involved with that one. So we may have to do that and then come back to this meeting. So we may have some dancing around to do next week. I'll let you know as soon as I hear what we need to do.
And I'm planning on doing the oaths of office at the next meeting. The oaths of office for all the newly elected or new.
Oh.
So before the first of the year, then next Monday?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. We've always done it at the one in January, but come to find out. it's different before.
Administer it before.
Yeah, I did not know that.
So
Yeah.
actually, could we do that prior to closed session?
Yeah, we'll do it before the meeting.
And then
So Eric, come down
I'm gonna email him and ask.
or
If he
fine.
can't, anybody that's a notary can do it.
Okay.
We have lots of notaries on
Okay.
staff. It's just nice when the judge.
So we may have to start the meeting a little earlier next week. We may have to do it at 8:45. We got a little housekeeping to clean up on elected officials and then go into closed session. So we may have to start at 8:45.
So Courtney, do you prefer to have us up there for that?
Well, I think it'd be nice, but you don't have to. We can do it electronically too. You just need to come in and sign you. I'll let you make the call on that. Whatever you're more comfortable with.
So is the organizational meeting going to be on the 28th? Is that what we're talking
No,
about?
we should do the oath of office prior to.
All right.
I was told.
Yeah, we were told that we had to do that first.
You mean you're all illegitimate?
not me, not me. It's not 2 years.
Good that somebody else went his seat.
I do.
Florida, here I go.
I think I'm gonna go here.
I'm with you, Courtney. I don't want that humidity.
I don't like.
All right, let's start off with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it
for which
stands,
it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
We are live, are we not? Carl?
Yes, you are.
Very good. Any additions to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the agenda approval. Call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. All right, the minutes of December 14th meeting.
They look read good to me. I'll move to approve the minutes of December 14th, 2020.
and I'll second that motion.
Any more discussion on those? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carried. All right, Carroll area child care. Nikki, I see you're joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning.
It's a beautiful Monday.
Hey, the sun's shining.
There you go. What do you got for us today?
Well, I'll kind of give you a brief overview of our year, which really hasn't consisted of much of the norm, as I know everybody else is experiencing the same thing. So just a little background. We have been in the Carroll community since 1975. Always with the mission to provide the highest quality childcare educational services available to the children in the community while their parents are at work. We currently provide care to children of 166 employees working for over 90 Carroll County businesses. I think going into 2020, we were struggling with staffing issues, which seems to continuously be a problem for us. We had to cut down some of our room enrollments just to meet licensing standards. And then while dealing with all of that, I guess you could say March 16th will be like forever the day that we will remember that our new normal kind of took effect. We continued to provide care to the families through the pandemic, but it just looks a lot different. Not only for us, but for the kids and the families as well. We just didn't really know the extent going into, nor did anybody going into this pandemic, how much it would truly affect our day-to-day operations and how we would have to change and adjust, not only the way we approach kids and families, but also how we greet parents at the door. I mean, the simplest things that we took for granted are gone right now. And I think everybody's had to adjust, and everybody has done, for the most part, a fabulous job. I credit a lot to our staff. Early on, there was a lot of nervousness and questions, but I think the state, as far as DHS is concerned, has done a great job in helping us kind of go through this uncharted territory. They put in mitigation strategies. So since probably the end of March, parents have not been allowed inside the center. So we have 5 exit doors. So all of the exit doors are pickup and drop off points for the families. So at each of those doors, we have to staff an extra staff every morning and night in order to ensure that children are not left unsupervised, going to see their parents, and then also that staff are available to answer parents' questions. That I know all these mitigation efforts were put in place to protect the health and safety of everybody, but they have not, I'd be lying if I said they haven't come without some pretty large added costs over the last year. We took advantage of the paycheck protection plan, which was a huge benefit for our center. We were able to go through at least 8 pay periods in that time period, where we could put the entire amount of our loan toward our payroll. And then we could focus on adjusting tuition rates based on families' quarantine status, exposure status, and whether or not parents were employed or unemployed at that time. So all of this coming into budget for 2021 for us here at the center has been such a challenge, because there are still so many unknowns as to how this is all going to play out. We've lost some families due to different job, either their place of job has changed, or they have chosen, just if they're working from home, to keep their kids home, just to keep everyone safe. If they have a family member who is at a higher risk for coronavirus, and recruiting new families has become incredibly difficult. I don't know many parents that are new to the area, much less new to the center, that would walk into a building and just hand their child to a staff member and trust that they're going to a classroom that's safe with individuals who are trained and educated. Not being able to have parents come into the building has really decreased the amount of infant enrollments we have gotten. We've gotten creative, done videos and YouTubes of the classrooms to show some parents, which helps, but that environment is still so important for all kids, but especially for first-time parents bringing in their infants. It's a tough thing to do anyway, and then you add the fact that you can't enter a classroom into that, and it just kind of creates a lot more juggling for us on our end to ensure that everybody is comfortable, and communication has been crucial, obviously, through all of this. For 2021, I think looking ahead, I think we've decided maybe not to look too far ahead anymore, because everything we planned for 2020 obviously didn't work out the way we thought. But I think, looking ahead to 2021, the center as a whole, obviously, hopefully we get some, with this vaccine coming out, maybe summer or fall, I'm hoping maybe that DHS will lift some of those restrictions as far as who can and can't enter the building. Maybe we can start providing tours to families after normal business hours. We'll continue to beef up our recruiting process for families. It's not that we don't have a waiting list. We have the waiting list, but we have parents who have never seen inside the building before. So that creates just a lot of issues for families in general. So we're going to work on that, figure out better ways to handle that. As far as aesthetic things about the building, I think we've got some plans in the works, hopefully for 2021, to redo the outside structure as far as siding and looking into windows. All of that is kind of coming up. The brick on the building has been here since the Fairway store was built. So it's obviously kind of cracking and causing some issues there. So we'll look at pulling funds for that. We have a couple of big kitchen equipment pieces that are on their way out. So purchasing those, locating some of those. The only thing I think for us that has really been our saving grace through all of this is we've stayed open the entire time, minus 3 days. And I know a lot of centers hadn't been that lucky or hadn't been able to do that. And I think that really was our saving grace. We really pushed through and tried to stay open. We closed those 3 days more because of we had so many staff that were positive. It has not really affected the kids at all, other than outside exposures. But I think us as a whole and our board, I think, has gone out of their way to do everything possible to keep these doors open. And not only so that way Carroll has a center to continue to utilize, but just in general, parents can know that we're going to be here on Monday morning when they need to go to work. Overall, looking back, I think a lot was learned, and it was things I never thought we would be changing or doing, but there is light at the end of the tunnel now, I feel like, and hopefully everybody can kind of take comfort in that, and we'll just move on to 2021.
Okay. Nikki, the funding you're asking for this year, I don't have it in front of me. I think I left it at home. Can you tell me?
11,000.
You're good level funding from what you were last year.
Yep.
Oh, very good. It's been a very trying year for everybody. Yeah, I think you guys have done a very good job over there, so. Does anybody have any questions for Nikki?
Nikki, I want to commend you and your staff for doing a phenomenal job during this pandemic and all the unseen situations, and going from having a board meeting almost every week to backing up. I do appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
And allowing Carroll County residents to go to work is huge, because some of us still had to go to work during the pandemic. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Nikki, I want to thank you for working through a lot of unforeseen problems. Appreciate it, and also appreciate the fact that you kept your asking at the same level.
No, thanks, Neil.
Okay, well, Nikki.
I have a couple questions, I guess, and I would like to thank you for all you do too. I mean, I stated in the past that our kids went to that daycare center, and it's great that you continue to keep it going. I mean, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, I'm the guy that talks about long-term debt.
Yep.
And I see that your long-term debt has increased. Can you tell how that happened?
Well, we have added to, we have the building obviously was the first, obviously large debt. And then we've done the parking lot has been added, the roof here, and then playground. We've had the playground. However, the majority of the playground was paid for, and we're continuing to hopefully pay that off, or the debt that we do have, making some larger payments here in 2021 once we figure out where we're sitting after the Paycheck Protection Loan and all of that.
Okay, very good. It's amazing to me that you only had to shut down for 3 days. I think that is exceptional, really.
Yeah,
So,
it like I said, it really it took a lot of outside hours and coming up with different strategies to make it work. But yeah, knock on wood, and hopefully we can get through Christmas and everything stays calm.
Yeah, Nikki, I think it's great that you've been able to stay open as much as you have been with this. So I think kudos go to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Nikki, you know the procedure. Shortly after the first of the year, we'll make some decisions, and when we go through our budgets, we'll notify you at that time. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Sounds great.
Coming
Thank
in.
you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, the next thing up, the new opportunities, Chad.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Morning, Chad.
Good to see you all. I have got two items for business this morning to visit about, I believe. First of all, our request, our yearly request, and then also to take a little bit of time and talk about our county general relief fund that we took over in July. So is everybody okay with me starting with just our general request? Should we start with that?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, so we are requesting the same as what we have in years past. We are asking for the $32,000 approximately, which is the same as what we've been requesting since 2010. So for the last 10 years, we've kept it the same dollar amount. We're a little bit behind on our statistics. It's been a very, very busy year. I've got statistics up through approximately December 1st, if you will. And all of our numbers are right on, or of course, they're above in lots of different areas just because of the pandemic and the higher unemployment and different things that are going on. Kind of like Nikki said, it's been a, very much a different year for our staff. Our staff have just been phenomenal. We've got folks more than willing to work from home. We've got lots of folks that are working at our offices with our lobbies closed at times. We have been open the whole time. We never were closed during any of this. We just look different. We're still providing every service. We're still doing heating and energy assistance. We're still doing substance abuse treatment. We're doing food pantries. We're doing, all of our different services. We're doing everything. It's just that some are telehealth, some maybe through the telephone. There's just all different ways that we're doing things. So a huge, huge kudos to our staff who've really worked hard throughout this. Looking at our statistics, and I believe you all would have received this as well. It's an orange chart. And basically individuals served is 1,875. Households served is 821. This is the data system that we run at what are called our Family Development Center. Out of that center is where we do our food pantry, our heating and energy assistance, and crisis services, and those, any service like that. This does not include our WIC, our maternal health, our child health, our Head Start, our early Head Start. All those other kinds of programs. But this would be very comparable to what you saw last year. Generally, I would go through and looking at the gender, we saw 1,032 female, 843 male, high school graduation compared to 2 4-year degree. All these stats are in here. And it's all it's somewhat similar to years past, nothing majorly out of the ordinary. If we look at the heating and energy assistance payments that we paid out to the utility companies in Carroll County alone, it's $264,000 that we have helped low-income families with. And just to remind everyone about LIHEAP is where you get a payment, a 1 or 2 payments per year. It's not a pay your utility bill every month for the entire year. It's 1 or 2 payments, and generally that averages between $300 and $400. So we're not talking about a huge amount of money for any particular family, but it does help these families who are going through some difficult times. We have had lots of families who have approached us for help, who've never approached us before, which is very different for us. Very, very difficult for those families to reach out for help because they've never done it before and have never had to. So I think with that, I'll stop. I know many of you have heard me present these before, and I can go into lots more details or less. Want to spend some time with county relief as well. But what questions? Do you have any questions regarding this proposal?
just amazing to me, you've been able to keep it at the same asking for the last 10 years.
Well, Dean, we are too. I'll tell you, we're really working hard to be good stewards with the money, and we're really working with some of the other funding sources. We are frustrated with, like WIC and maternal health and some of those state funded programs. They have stayed the same for also almost 12 to 15 years. And we're really disgusted with that, because those state services, they could be increased and should be increased potentially. And so anyway, but that's a whole nother beef. We're able to make this work, Dean, and we're happy to do it. We're really happy to do it. We appreciate the support of Carroll County. Wouldn't be able to do many of our services without this support. It's been a wonderful thing. So going very well.
Chad, I'm amazed at the lie heap. You served 1,410 households. There are a little over 8,600 households in Carroll County. You served about 17% of our households. That's a large number, I think.
It is a large number. Yep. Yeah, we're really glad, and we can kind of it may be a good segue to get into our county relief is we're glad to be that one-stop shop where folks come in and they apply for maybe heating assistance or food pantry, or come in for substance abuse, or they want to stop using tobacco. Maybe it's a young mom who's just having a baby and needs help with some WIC services. And, we try to get them involved with as many of our programs as possible. Again, with that idea that we can get them in, get them lots of services, but then get them off of our programs. We don't want to be that long-term facility. We want to get people help. We want to get them referred back to workforce development, help them with a job, help them with resumes, help them with all these different things, get them back to being productive. Very much like Nikki was saying, it's been different. It's been a really different year. It's been hard to get folks back on track. And also it's been interesting with the government and providing the additional unemployment and that sort of thing. I think we're all getting ready to get back on some sort of a regular norm, whatever that might be, so that we can really get people back on track. So with that, I guess we can move on to county relief, if that's okay. I did have an opportunity to visit with Rich and Jean the end of last week, and county relief in our eyes has been going very well, folks. We're very pleased to have been able to help out Carroll County with this, and we've been able to help out a lot of folks, at least some folks with it. We have helped 17 families since July, and this is through December. We have really worked a lot with the rent and mortgage assistance, a little bit with utility assistance and transportation situation. We have had a few calls on the burial, but we've not processed any requests for that. It seems like we have really gone through kind of the rules for burial and how that works with the families. And it seems like as soon as they get more information about the burial rules and how, we can help them financially, well, then a lot of the families are realizing that, well, they are going to have to be responsible for it and that sort of thing. And so while 17 clients doesn't seem like a lot, we have over 6 pages of a log, 6 pages of logs of clients that we've worked with. And so we've got approximately 200, a little over 200 entries that we've worked with clients. And so we're getting lots of phone calls. Lots of folks are looking for help with rent assistance, with utility assistance. But once they're calling us, we're able to refer them into our own programs, our state and our federal programs. And we have really taken on what we all talked about 6 months ago, is that the county needs to be the payer of last resort. And so we're looking at our own programs to the federal government or the state government, getting them taken care of that way. If those all fall through, or if it doesn't work out, well, then we look at county relief. And that's why I think the county is going to appreciate the savings that they have had in the last 6 months, but also to be rest assured that clients, our families in Carroll County are being in fact served and their needs are being taken care of. One of the things that I talked to Gene and Rich about is that we do have a list, and this is how New Opportunities, we've got an audit committee within our board of directors. And approximately 3 times a year, we invite the audit committee in. And I want to remind you all, of course, we have a full-fledged audit, a very expensive audit because we're federal and state funded, that comes in and goes through, many of our transactions and all that. But this is in addition to that, we have our audit committee within our board of directors come in and we show them our file room and they say, you know what, pick out 8 or 10 files, totally random. And so they take these files, they sit down at the desk and they look at it, and they're going to look at the voucher. They're going to look at the documentation. They're going to look at, all these different things that are needed for a transaction. Well, I've invited Rich and Gene, or 2 members of the county supervisors board, to come and do that same thing. What we would do is we would give you a list of the clients that we have served, and they could be the ones that we've served and then the ones who we have referred out, but you would be able to look at those. So that way you can rest assured that you're seeing the proper documentation. You're seeing, sometimes we're documenting our conversations with Courtney. Nothing personal, Courtney. We're just keeping track of how things are, how things are processed and that sort of thing. And it's just a great way for everyone to feel assured that we are doing the job that we're supposed to be doing. So we're happy to do that. And when we're thinking that we would like to do that in February and then also in July or August, somewhere in there. Our November, December, and January, it's crazy. It's busy over here. So those aren't good months for us. But so with that, what questions might you all have regarding county assistance? Do you have any questions about that? Courtney, would you have any comments, anything that I'm missing as well? Or Rich or Gene?
I don't think so. I just think it's been running really smoothly. They're submitting claims timely, so we're able to get those paid, and it's working better than it did before, I think.
Well, one of the things that Gene and Chad and I, we visited about, and what he just touched on, was in February and July, I believe, that we go out and pull to review. It's a random choice. And I also would highly recommend that the first 2 out that goes, and I'm okay with Gene and I going the first time. After that, I would like to rotate this around the board. That way you can see it yourself. You can touch it yourself. And you just sit down. It probably won't take very long. I'm guessing half-hour meeting will probably be in order, or a little less. Seems a little ridiculous sometimes, but it gives you the opportunity to ask Chad questions about a specific thing if you so choose, or at least you can look into it and say, this is where our money's going, this is what they're doing with it. And when the constituents ask, are you checking on it, you can say, yes, we are. And I think that's a good reportability thing for the constituents and the taxpayers. So I highly recommend this, and I think Gene and I will do it the first time, and then we'll try to get it on some type of rotation with 5 people. You're going to see different people all the time. So,
Well, Rich, I agree with everything you said. First of all, I want to commend, I think that New Opportunities was the right choice on this thing. I think that, with what services they provide, he's able to provide that service that we are the payer of last resort, which is way it should be. I commend New Opportunities the way they're doing their logging. What he showed us the other day is a very good system. so they keep track of every conversation, and I am very supportive of the audit committee going out and doing this. The only thing I will say is I do not think I should be one of those, because I am also president of New Opportunities. So I would sooner leave it to Rich and one other person from the board. I think I should remove myself from that.
Okay, and I understand that, and that's probably the right thing to do. So that's gonna leave the four of us, and maybe we can rotate that around so two different ones go all the time, so. We'll look into that, and we'll come February, see if we can find a volunteer or two, or I gladly will do it the first time. And we'll go from that point. But I think it gives accountability, and it also keeps us very much in the eye of what we're paying for.
Yeah, Chad, I think we made a good choice with new op. I think the handoff for other programs that you have is much smoother when the original request is already within your organization. And I also appreciate your accountability and review ability. That's very good. Thank you.
Welcome.
And I would agree with what everything that's been said. And the part that I really like is the caveat that you can put them on to other programs that the state has or federal. So I think that's good. So we're really taking care of these individuals, and it comes back to the county as a last resort, which is very good. Love the accountability as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think before we're done with Chad, I would like to also commend him and his staff. I mean, just like everybody else, 2020 has been a challenging year. They've kept the doors open. They've learned how to do things a lot different than what we have in the past, just like everybody else. And I think not only New Opportunities, but a lot of our associations need to be commended for their survivability, even in 2020.
Thank you. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. If you have any questions between now and February or anytime, always feel free to reach out and visit with me. I would say let's leave the ball in Rich's hands. Rich, give me a call in maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll figure out a date when you and one of your colleagues can come over and take a review of our files, and we'll get you all taken care of, folks.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Take care,
Merry
all.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year.
Okay, the next thing up, we have employment.
No, number 3.
Oh, the comp board. My brain, I almost forgot about you. I don't know how I could have, but I almost did.
Well, that's why we got Courtney to remind us.
That's exactly right.
Well, I know you got a lot of things on your agenda, and this won't take very long because most of you were there in person, and one of the quickest comp board meetings that we've had. I don't know, it was a little different feeling in the room, I guess. It was short and sweet. So you've got the recommendation I sent to Courtney. I think she handed that out. So the board approved to recommend 6% raise for the Carroll County Sheriff, 4% to the auditor, treasurer, recorder, attorney, and supervisors. So with that, I would entertain any questions or.
Does anybody have any questions for Mike? Mike, I want to thank you and the committee for your work on this. I know this is probably not a pleasant thing to do every year, but and this year, like you said, it was a little quicker than normal, but this is a different year than normal. So I guess it didn't shock me anyway. Yeah. So I thank you guys for your work, especially yourself as chair. It seems like once you become chair of this, looks like you're in for the long haul right now.
I might be. I think John Brocklesby's on the phone actually, maybe with as well from the committee, but
Okay.
so.
Mike, Neil Bach here. I want to thank you all for serving. And we, of course, did get that letter from you. It was very brief. I want to state that while you're on the line, and John maybe too, that the letter did not include the vote, which was 4-3 in favor of the motion. So there was some, it just barely passed. And that there was other conversation. And I think the conversation made it quite clear that the Board of Supervisors would probably lower that. But the differential for the sheriff, which is 2%, was locked in. And that was one of your main objectives. You can correct or elaborate on that comment if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4-3. We had quite a little bit of discussion on the motion, but at the end of the day, it passed. So it was done. And I think there was, a lot of other comments that maybe could have been made, but that's kind of how it rolled out this year.
Well, Mike, I want to comment. Thank you guys for your work too also.
Hey, I'm on with you too, Mike. Yeah, it was a different year, and we'll be back hopefully next year and get something taken care of.
All right, John, thank you for your time too on this. Like I said, this is not a real pleasant thing to do sometimes, but I'm glad you're serving on this committee.
I think at this time, we do not have to accept or approve this letter, but we do need to accept receipt of this letter, which I will make a motion that we accept the receipt of the letter from the compensation boards.
I will second that, that we did receive the letter of the recommendations that they passed off.
I think the correct term should be acknowledge receipt of the letter.
Okay.
Is that okay with the first and second?
Yes, that is
Yeah.
fine.
Yes, it is.
I was gonna let that finance be up to Courtney to address that.
I want to commend you guys for getting together, although the outcome is probably not exactly what I was expecting. And I know we're not making any action today, but you guys will be on the Zoom when we bring it up to the board again, correct?
Usually we're not. We haven't been. We've submitted this every year since I think 2015 that I've been the chairman, and haven't been back on the board meeting.
Well, I'd like to take a minute just to thank the compensation board as well. I think the brevity of the meeting caught a lot of people off guard, and I think there was probably maybe some discussion that was probably waiting to be had. But a motion and a vote can change everything pretty quickly. So it was an unusual year.
Everybody's still available, including Mike and perhaps John. I do want to mention and highlight a few items that were mentioned during the meeting. And one of them is that Social Security is only 1.3%. And also, there are a lot of other advantages other than financial that county employees have. The biggest one is health insurance, but it also includes IPERS and health insurance and annual leave and sick leave and that type of thing. So that the money that county employees do get does go further because they don't have to use it for other things. And also, I know that Courtney has splashed out a quick cost analysis of what this would cost for the elected officials, but I also want to state that it also affects a number of deputies of elected officials. So the true cost is probably greater than what Courtney's spreadsheet says, although her spreadsheet is correct, if you just take the elected officials into account.
Neil, I think you make a good point there that a lot of people don't realize this just affects other people than just the elected people. It also affects the deputies.
But you have to remember, it only affects the elected officials and the deputies, not everyone.
Right.
Which I think has been a little bit of a misunderstanding in the past.
You're correct in making that statement, Gene. However, the ruling does set some type of precedent that is expected by the other employees.
Okay, anything other questions for John or Mike while we have them on the line? Okay, if not, thank you very much. Have a great Christmas. Have a good New Year.
Everything you do for us, so it is appreciated.
Well, Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas, and thank you for your service.
Thanks, John.
Okay, the next thing up is we have an employee retirement resignation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do we need to vote on that motion to acknowledge the?
Then knowledge, yeah, well, I suppose we probably should.
We got a motion.
We have a motion and a second to vote on the acknowledgement of the receipt of the letter. I'll call the vote.
I just want to clarify real quick that it is just the acknowledgement of this letter. There is no decision.
That's correct.
Correct. I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Now for the young man sitting in the corner that thinks he's going to retire. We have a letter from Carl Wilburn. 29 years. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Goes by fast sometimes and slow sometimes.
That's right.
The letter is his resignation as zoning administrator, which includes the floodplain administrator and the airport zoning administrator. We will have to appoint someone to that. We need to do that next week.
We'll do it at our first meeting.
We'll do that first meeting of the year. Carl will be resigning. He'll be actually leaving our service in January 29th of 21, but he has a lot of vacation to burn up, so he will be doing that. And he will be with us physically here to the 1st of January and then back for his final day. So with regret, I will make a motion that we accept Carl's resignation as the IT director and all these other hats.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more?
Carl, I want to comment that you've been a very conscientious and trustworthy employee for many, many years. And that your job has really changed a lot since you started with Carroll County. I mean, their GIS director wasn't on the list when you started, I don't think. But I appreciate you going with the flow.
I can know.
You know, and Carl, proof as to the good job and the workload that you had, we have taken your job and divided it up, you know, and put more people in charge, more other individuals. So that's a great contribution you gave to the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl, for all of your years of service. True.
Yeah, Carl, I want to thank you also. I think, you know, as Neil said, that this job has changed over the years. I don't think IT was as much as what it was now. You've been a great employee. I want to thank you for your years of service and dedication to Carroll County. Thank you.
you did not, that you need.
Okay, okay, we have a motion and a second. We will, go ahead and call for the vote on their acceptance of the retirement resignation letter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I don't see them yet.
Barb is coming here at 10:15 for the Historical Society, so
Okay.
you number 7, since Zach's here.
Zach, why don't you slide up here and we'll just do that.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Zach.
Morning, Zach.
Morning.
2 utility permits this morning. Both are for Mid-American Energy. The first one is a fiber project coming from basically Audubon County, getting up to Highway 71 and 300th Street. They're going to be plowing in most of this cable, except for the areas where they'll be boring underneath road culverts and bridges, as well as intersections. Really don't see any concerns with what they're proposing. It's obviously going across multiple sections, but starting at Falcon Avenue and 340th Street, going north up to 330th, then east to Kitty Hawk, and back north again, all the way to 300th Street, and then easterly to 71. So
I assume this is just for their own communications, right?
that's correct. So,
You want these approved individually?
they can go together.
I see it, and on top, it's got, is that the years they're thinking about doing this work? So it's not necessarily this year?
Where at, Gene?
Way up on the top, it says 2020-22.
That's my permit number that I'm putting on there. I
Oh,
didn't have the
okay,
number
okay.
before.
All right.
I'm putting numbers on it. That way we can track them a little bit better if we need to. So,
All right.
no, I think their goal is to get going whenever they can. They had gotten this to me probably a month ago, and there was a couple of corrections they had to make and additions. But I think their intent is if they could have went yet this fall, they would. With the weather the way it is now, I don't know how much they will be able to get done, but they want to proceed whenever they can. The second permit, if there's no more questions on that one, like I said, also for Mid-American Energy, this is basically redoing some overhead distribution line on Granite Avenue from 280th to 290th, just be northwest of Templeton. They'll be moving from one side to the other, I'm assuming just for ease of getting it, the install, and then killing the other line. So, but just a less than a mile of that.
Actually, it's a little over a mile, right? Because they go down south of 290th. About a mile and a quarter.
I think that's the existing, Gene. I don't think they're actually going that way. If you look at
well, it shows
the green color is the new line and the red is the existing. So there shows some purple there, but that's existing line that's staying in place. So they'd be starting just north of 290th and stopping just south of 280th, I believe.
Well, if you look at the application, I don't want to, it says starting at 280th down to 26263 Granite Avenue. That would be, that's actually about 1.25 miles.
That's true. Maybe their map isn't showing everything that I'm missing something too. Possibly.
I mean, both those
No,
maps,
I see now. You're correct. You're correct, Gene. They are going further. They when you get to 290th, they're reusing some of the existing line, and then they are doing some additional to the south. You're correct.
if there's no questions, I'll make a motion. We approve the two utility permits for Mid-America.
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carried.
Go look at that space that you got a phone call about. A phone call this morning.
I think so.
Yesterday I was on a little drive south of they're putting a building in there, is that correct?
For Iowa customers.
What's the
On top of the hill.
yeah, on no.
They're we're shooting for the finished grade to be 1 to 2 foot below the shore of the road, but we're going to come back in and clean out the ditch and actually put in approximately a 3-foot ditch there as well. So
Okay.
Probably not that whole scenario, it's been a scenario. It's gonna help.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
Taking that hill back quite a little bit.
it will, and they're obviously not done yet either. They have more to do.
Yeah.
And he's adding on to that, right outside of Willie, Iowa Customs is gonna do a shop on the backside. He just built that shop and he's doing the shop.
Quite very substantial fill back there. I mean, 25 to 30 foot fill some places.
70 some loads.
That's where he's getting used in the bars.
More than 70. 13,000 yards.
Okay, I just was curious about how the
Yep.
ditch line was gonna look like.
No, we met with them a couple different times as far as the process and also the finished product. And, I know they worked with REC to get the power lines lower as well. And they had to lower the pole twice just because the hill was as big as it was. So it definitely will be a benefit once all that's done for us as well as for them.
Good, good. I was looking at the road surface as well. Really good. There's gonna be some narrow places where we really put 2 feet out there very much, but we'll make the adjustment.
Mhm.
Okay.
For you. And then stuff, Merry Christmas.
Thanks very much.
Well, I'll call you later on.
That's fine.
Call me. Pretty good. Anything else for Zach?
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks,
Thank
Zach.
you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to do the interfund transfer next?
I can't wait.
I bet you can.
Let's go.
Okay, we're gonna do the interfund transfers. I'm gonna turn that resolution over to Courtney.
Okay, let's see. So I'm not sure what you all have, yours are in order, but I'm gonna start with the first one I have. And it's from the tax increment fund to local option. And this is the ICP project paying local option back. $72,357.52. I don't know if I have payoff. This should be paid off next year, this debt. So then this money that's going into our local option will go back to the other taxing entities, and they'll be able to take advantage of that increment from that project, but it should be paid off next year.
So this would be more or less.
Well, we'll have one in March or next spring and probably one more, and then we should be done.
Any questions on that resolution?
I'll make a motion. We approve the resolution for inter-fund transfers for $72,357.52 back into local option fund.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. That's a roll call vote.
Ruggles,
Yes.
Houseman,
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
Shetler,
Yes,
Bach.
Yes,
A motion carries. This will be available for you guys to sign if you're in the area. The next one I have is the rural fund to the road fund. This is part of the budget, part of the collections that roads department receives from property taxes. The amount is $1,112,412. And it is coming from rural services into the secondary road fund.
Any questions for Courtney?
if there are no more questions, I'll make a motion to transfer $1,112,412 from the rural service basic fund to the secondary road fund effective December 21st.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. We'll do the roll call.
Ruggles.
Yes.
Houseman.
Yes.
Miners.
Yes.
Shetler.
Yes.
Bach.
yes,
Okay, motion carries. The next one and final one I have here is the general basic fund to secondary road fund. $125,362.50.
if there are no questions, I'll move to approve the resolution from general basic to the secondary road fund in the amount of $125,362.50 effective December 21st.
Seconded.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote.
Ruggles.
Yes.
Houseman.
Yes.
Miners.
Yes.
Shetler.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes,
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Courtney. Okay, the Historical Society.
Hey, Mark.
Good morning.
How are you?
Just fine, thank you.
Has history been continuing?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Big history here.
Well,
It will
not,
be.
it will be. It will be. We've gotten in some wonderful things. First of all, thank you for inviting me to the meeting. Let's see, we got a lot of information about the Starline Ballroom from the Otto family, which was really kind of interesting. There's a lot I didn't know about that. We got a couple of things like bricks and some piping, old piping from the city motel. That was kind of nice to have. The sign was a long time ago destroyed. That was one, and out at the barn, that has been the biggest thing. Besides what goes on. And so far, I haven't had to really sweep or dust yet since it's been put on. So that was kind of nice. After that first cleanup, it was really nice. So I think, I shouldn't say it out loud, but I think our mouse problem out there is solved. We'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. But so far, it has been wonderful. Not to have to sweep up. So, one of the biggest things we did since we had to close down, I actually had to nail the barn door shut because people kept going in, even after the governor said, please don't, close everything. So I had to nail that shut. But let's see, where was I going with that? We started a looking through the window on Facebook. Since people couldn't come in, I actually gave only 2 or 3 tours, and they had been people that had booked long before this started. And I felt since they came such a distance that I should let them in and do the research if they wanted, but I was not comfortable with it. But they all wore masks and everything was good. The looking through the window covered every building. I'm still doing a couple things on the barn yet, but the history, the contents, that sort of thing. Every week we posted a couple of things. It is slowing down now. So I called it looking through the window because so often in Graham Park, I saw people looking in the windows of the schoolhouse and the log cabin, couldn't get in. So that's the way it is. The schoolhouse is going to celebrate its 150th birthday this summer. And I'm hoping our open house is June 6th. I'm hoping we can have it and do a program out there. So that hopefully will work out. Otherwise, I don't know. We're going to do our membership drive. We always had put it with our open house, thinking we get a few more people in and they might buy memberships. Well, we couldn't have an open house last year. So I'm just going to put it now the first year in January, and then we'll see what happens. Our little gift, people who buy memberships, is going to be that booklet that I think I gave you all a copy of about the Historical Society. So it's just the first 50 years, more or less. So the Clio Club had a great deal to do with the museum. So they'll get the credit for what they did. And it was a memorial booklet of the funds we paid for from the Lampman. So this year, because I didn't spend much money, there were fewer expenses, no open house, no events, none of that. We are only asking for $3,500. And we still have a few funds left. We'll put that towards next year. We'll be doing the postcards and the membership drive. And if we have events, it'll take money. So take the money you've given already. Let's see, anything else I should mention? I don't think so. Because the biggest thing was getting the siding on the barn. That's just been a blessing. Okay.
No Barb with this year's fun we've been having. I think that a lot of people are looking to buy local and stay local this year, but I think one of the things that we can't lose sight of is the nonprofits don't have their fundraising because of things like this. And as we do this buy local and shop local, don't forget to help try to support your
Local history.
Yes, exactly.
So,
That $25 donation makes a big difference. If we get enough of them, it makes a big difference.
it makes a difference, yes.
So when you can't have your normal fundraisers, that kind of start thinking outside the box. And like I said, I hope people will consider not forgetting the money. So
we'll see what happens. I wanted to mention one question I could not answer. I almost had it. I thought I got another question: where the name of the town Roselle came from. And I dug down into the research, and I finally got close to something. They renamed it Roselle because there was already a Hillsdale somewhere in eastern Iowa, and they named it after the township Roselle. There it was, right back at square one. So I don't know. Where did Roselle get its name? It was named first Hillsdale after Mr. Hill, so fine.
Is there a Hillsdale Cemetery?
There was a community, but that's Holy Angel Cemetery. Yeah.
If you look in the really old plats, it's Hillsdale.
Yeah.
Is what it says.
It's the side of the street. Yeah, it's on the south side of the road. So it's interesting.
Yep, history, yes.
There's
A lot
always
of twists
something.
and turns.
Yeah, there's always something. By the way, we got a John Deere mower now and a manure spreader out at the barn. We just acquisitioned that. So it's the right color.
That worked out.
Yeah, we did a little thing for Garden View. They wanted on Farmer's Day to celebrate that. They wanted some old tractors there. My brother was giving me a hard time because I lined up a few and none of them were green. He says it was not official then, but we do have a John Deere mower and manure spreader.
Barbara, I want to thank you for everything that you do, but I really, really appreciate, especially in these times this year, actually doing a decrease in asking. I commend you for all your hard work and giving back from that, not asking for as much money. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for mentioning that because it helps.
Yeah, every little bit helps us because it's going to be a stranger for us.
Well, we depend on volunteers an awful lot, so. And the city does a lot of stuff with buildings.
Any questions for Barb?
No, I just want to thank Barb for all she does. I know this is a real passion for you, and hopefully we can keep this relationship going for a long time. So, thank you.
Well, yeah. 8 years for sure, yes.
All right.
Then I'll hit a milestone. It'll be time to step aside and see, if I am replaceable or not. Okay, well, again, I thank you for inviting me. Kind of forget about you guys.
Yeah, you always see us looking
Yeah.
out that way. You wonder what we're doing. Hopefully, we'll all be able to look each other now in sometime.
Yes, back to normal.
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, wish you the same.
Okay, looks like Manning Childcare is on the line. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, whenever.
As ready as I can be.
There you go. Whenever you're ready, you just take off.
Okay, well, there's not a lot to update on our center other than, as with every other business, every other, company, anything like that, we've all had a trying year. We are ready to get rid of these masks when the time comes, and everybody's in the same boat. And I just have to commend my staff and my board. Everybody has been so supportive of the childcare, workers and everything through this. We've had 2 times where we had to basically state kind of said, shut down, let things calm down. The month of October, we had was kind of our first hit of COVID inside the center. I had several staff, some families. And so at that time, state said, just shut the doors down for about 4 days, let things calm down, and then, get back on track. And that was almost the best thing for us because, knock on wood, we've had a few kids in quarantine, with school and stuff like that. But otherwise, overall, we've been really pretty healthy here at the center. So, it's had its challenges this year. We definitely were thankful that we were able to qualify for the PPP grant, or loan, that in turn turned around to be a grant. And it is in our paperwork that way. So we were very thankful that kept our doors open basically back in March. Because we had over 3/4 of our families pull back when everything started in March. A lot of teachers, a lot of, families that weren't working. And so obviously for them, they weren't working, so they maybe weren't getting money at that time and couldn't pay childcare. And so, we kind of took a big hit back then in March, but everything has just kind of spiraled and we're doing good now. Luckily enough, like I said, we got that PPP grant, and, there's always room for growth. We've kept a great deal of our staff. I think right now we are at like 27 staff members, and only 7 of them are subs. So the rest, we have about 15 full-time, and I've added in some probably since I gave you guys the reports and information. So, there's a lot going on, but, like everybody else, we just keep taking it day by day.
So you had a good return of people that are working from home. They had been working from home. Are they back to work and bringing children back, or bringing children back even though they're still working at home?
Yeah.
Depending on the age of the children, it's just hard to work at home. So.
Oh, yes. And we did have a few businesses that did approach us and say, our employee is working from home, but they have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, or they have a 9-month-old. You can't work and try to, finagle your kids around and keep them on schedule. And so, we did, if they were working from home, we did let them, bring their kids, if they were still working. So, but yeah, now we're back. I think all of our families are back as of late summer. They all pretty much had came back.
So you're requesting this year, $15,000 again?
Yep.
Okay.
And, like I've said in the past, we've always tried, to keep our staff, not have a lot of turnover. And, the one day I think I figured out, when I averaged our staff pay, they're making just under $9 an hour on an average throughout the whole center, so we continue to keep looking for ways to up that staff pay, but not totally pass it on to the parents. Yes, there's always those increases that we do for the parents in tuition, but just keeping that intact, that we can hopefully continue that.
So how are your numbers looking as far as your enrollment and waiting list and that type of thing?
Well, I can say we definitely are going to have a COVID baby boom. We are out to next November already. Like I've got families that have just found out, and pretty much the way it works in moving kids up, we're looking at probably having to make some room arrangements to, account for those new families and new babies and stuff. We have, let me grab my other papers. Our current enrollment right now, we are at a total of 71. And of those 71, only 13 are drop-in. So, you know, our numbers continue to stay steady, and, you know, there's just a lot of talk. We had an in-home provider that had quit in the area. And so that brought us 3 new families, and we could have probably taken 2 more, but didn't have the capacity at the time where their birthdays were to bring them on into the center.
And how's your staffing going? Are you able to keep staff and keep going that way?
Yep. You know, we had, like I said, the month of October was a little rough. I had several staff gone, some in quarantine, you know, and following all the guidelines to keep everybody else healthy sometimes was a challenge with our staffing at that time. And so, you know, we brought on a few new part-time employees just to with that quarantine process. You know, most of our staff I've had at least over a year. You know, they're at their year anniversary mark and even longer. I've got some that are 4 years, 5 years now. So that's always a positive, keeping them, you know, in the center that way. And if we could just give them a little boost in payroll, and, you know, I think that's with everywhere, you know, it's a challenge for staffing, and so, you know, for us to be able to keep those tenured staff is good.
Very good.
Any other questions?
I'm just taking a snapshot of page 5, which is your balance sheet as of October 31. And you show you have 109,000 in your checking and savings. And going down a little further, you have a total loan amount, which is less than that. You know, I think the note payable at First National Bank is 69,410. So you've got, do you have anything to say about that as having more in savings than what you owe?
Well, that at the time was the note payable is what the PPP grant was. And so that just hadn't rolled over because it hadn't been forgiven through the bank. So now everything is forgiven. And so that will reflect on our next balance sheet. That was all processed back in November.
Okay, thank you.
And that's why it looks, you know, a little strange that way with the notes payable to First National was, you know, from this summer when the loan had not been, you know, totally forgiven that way yet. And we were waiting on, you know, it to process through the federal information. Does that make sense and answer your question?
Thank you. Yes.
Yep. Any other questions, comments that I can answer?
Gene, you're trying to talk, you need to unmute.
I said I'm okay.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for your presentation, and we will, after the first of the year, as we get further along in our budget process, we will let you know what funding level we're going to do, and we'll make the adjustments or whatever we need to do at that point.
Yes. Well, you know, as always, thank you guys for your support. You know, sitting with, you know, 71 kids in a community for a child care center, you know, our board was just adamant that we had to do, something to keep it open at this time back in March. And, we're all facing challenges this year. So let's just hope that 2021 is a whole different year.
Yeah.
So thanks again for everything you guys have done for, the center and your continued support as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing up is we have, looks like I've got 3 manure managements. We'll attack those. The Golden Cuff Finisher Farm, section 32 of Viola. That's a Sac County farm. They have added acres manure analysis, 4-year update. The WJR Pork Site 40, section 35 Arcadia. They will be using a manure analysis, and it is a yearly report. And the WJR Pork Site 20, section 26 of Arcadia Township. That is also a manure analysis and annual updates. Committee reports. Would someone like to go? Oh, Courtney had got us the taxable evaluations. I assume that you all have that in an email. So any comment on that? Or anybody had time to really review it a lot?
How does that compare to last year, Courtney?
I sent you last year's with this year's. It's an increase. I'm not off the top of my head. I'm not exactly sure the dollar amount increase.
Looks a little better.
Yeah.
I think 43 million, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say 40, but yeah, and like I said in the email, it's not final yet. I'm still working on verified numbers, but I mean, it's not gonna vary too much from that if there is a change I need to make. So.
Looking at the budget request sheet, Courtney, that we have, I see that Region 12 is already filled in already as far as they're requested for 2020.
Yes, they sent me a letter and have the amount in the letter.
So they're not going to come and request then?
I'm sure Rick would meet with the board. You bet. But I just put them in there because they had sent a letter, and those are usually ones that are matching funds, and we don't really do much with them anyway, but I can certainly ask him to attend.
No, that's okay. I just wondered if I missed something here.
No.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
They are, I mean.
Okay. Committee reports. Anybody like to go first?
Well, I can go first. For a week that wasn't supposed to have much, it sure turned into a lot. On Tuesday, I had the Carroll Area Development Corporation. They reviewed their finances. They give an update on their private investment. They're up to 34,000 right now. We did have the election of officers, and the officers did stay the same as Jim Allen as president, Mike Frenney as vice president, Tim Tiefenthaler as treasurer, and secretary is Howard Dries. We had an update from Kimberly Tiefenthaler on the SBDC. She talked a lot about the number of clients she had. There was 469 she consulted in Carroll, 13 new businesses, $50 million more in sale increases, and there was about 85 jobs created. There was an infusion of 49.9 million in capital, and she went through that whole program there. Talked about a project fund for unexpected war chest, so if something comes up that we can act on it. That was just a discussion. We don't know what's going to happen out of that yet. We talked about that on the 5th of January. We're probably going to have a legislative deal by Zoom with our state representatives and also our federal representative. They also talked about the retail coach. They are ahead of schedule on that thing right now. Things are moving very well there. Then on Wednesday, I had the city communications board meeting. We did go through the budget. We did not approve the budget. We had some discussion in regard to the same discussion we've had every year. But we have set another meeting on Wednesday, November 30th. Again, the discussions were about the, Carroll's question, their amount of their contribution. I've had several discussions with Mike Fogey Weaver since then, and I am meeting with him again this week to go over some of the information he presented to us, so I have a better understanding of that. Then on Saturday, I met with New Opportunities, or I went up and signed some documentations and stuff like that, and took care of that. Then also on Thursday, I had a budget with the sheriff and Stephanie. We went through that thing. And then on 5 o'clock that night, the comp board, and we all know the results of that. Then on, I'm gonna get my dates here right now. On Friday, I had a meeting with Rich and Chad and myself that we went over the county relief program or general assistance. I think it was a very good meeting. As you know, Chad was visiting with us earlier. I think he has put a lot of things in the system that will protect the county's interest and all that. Then on Friday, we had the Yes Center board meeting. After that, very active up there. Right now, we've got 3 BIA kids in there. That's the Bureau of Indians that have 3 of them in there. Our November average per day was 10.72, which is basically an all-time high for this time of the year. On Friday, we had 11 in there. Transportation is just skyrocketing. One day we had 9 transports in 4 hours. Through November, they had 47 transports. So they've been very busy. We are looking at, we've got some cars that are starting to get some age on them. We're looking at some options to possibly another lease of another new one, and possibly also the possibility of another used one from another sheriff's department. It was very active up there, but otherwise things are pretty well up there. This week I have tomorrow with Mike Fogey Weaver to revisit some of those figures, and that's all I have for it this time for this week and with Christmas. That's my report. Oh, and I did have a lot of conversations with different people too. One of the things I did reach back in my last radio program, I said that we might be looking for some new members for different boards. I did have an individual reach out to me. I thanked him. I said that unfortunately the ones that we have slots for is for our planning and zoning and our board of adjustments. And unfortunately, he lives within that 2-mile zone. So I explained that to him and thanked him. But I said I will keep him in mind if there's anything else that comes available. So there was a lot of phone calls, a lot of stuff this last week. So that's my week.
I'll go next. Monday, I did the radio and newspaper. And basically, we went over a lot of issues with mental health and with the COVID-19 issues that we're all dealing with. On Thursday, had the CPPC meeting, which is a community partnership for protecting children. We had our director give her annual report. Molly Scott told us what she did for the annual report, as well as what she's been doing the past month. We received some money from DHS, and we approved a contract with LSI, which is Lutheran Services of Iowa, for some mental health programs that they're administering at the hospital. On Thursday evening, I attended the comp board, which you were all there. This week, I basically going to celebrate Christmas. Any questions? Okay, that's it.
I can go next. On Wednesday, had the East-West Nishnabotna quarterly meeting, and this was in conjunction with Hungry Canyons Alliance meeting as well. So this is normally a long meeting, but it really got long. It's a big agenda. One of the problems, and I've stated this before, is that we have so many members that if there's not good attendance, we struggle to get a quorum. And this situation, I think there were very few soil and water people there, and there were very few city people there. And so we were well into the meeting before we had a quorum so that we could approve the agenda in the minutes. So for both the East and West Nishnabotna. As far as the meeting is concerned, it was a good meeting. There was a lot of information. John Thomas from Hungry Canyons and from the Golden Hills ICP went over some work that they've been doing as far as bank stabilization. That was very interesting. One of the real interesting things was Larry Weber, and I think most of you are familiar with him from the Iowa Flood Center, had a very good presentation on the Missouri River and the flood situation there, and layers. He had map layers of how the flooding actually took place, how the levee broke, and the flow of water into that area, and it was extremely interesting. If I get a chance, I'll send an email out to you and a link to that website that you can look at that. It's very interesting. But all this stuff took a long time. I don't think there was anything really new. The only situation that's coming up is we're going to have the same problem with the East-West Nishnabotna Watershed Management Coalition that we're having with the North Raccoon, and that is that the dollars, the HUD dollars are going to run out, and then we will have to look for funding to pay a coordinator. So that's probably the biggest issue going forward. I think that the East and West Nishnabotna was very successful in as far as the plan is concerned and the structures that they're putting in. There was also some comments about the RCPP program with the Iowa Soybean Association. That is probably about the only funding that's really out there after the HUD dollars. And the only thing is that is for ground mitigation structures, which would be terraces, mostly just ground structures, strips, conservation strips, and that type of thing. It doesn't really include any ponds or any wetlands or anything like that. So it's a good program, but the funding is going to be different. The projects will be different. That meeting went right up to the meeting that Gene and I attended with the city on the communications budget. Yeah, that's interesting, Gene. I think the city is taking that up tonight at their meeting. Is that correct?
Well, my last conversation with Mike is that it'll probably be discussed, but there will not be any action.
Okay.
From what I got from him, they'll probably look at staying with us yet this next year.
Okay, because there was some discussion there about the 2080 agreement.
Right.
So,
and I don't think that's going to happen tonight.
Okay. All right. But otherwise, yeah, I think that obviously is, as Gene said, kind of a battle going forward. So I had that meeting on Wednesday as well, had the compensation board meeting on Thursday evening, and then had the emergency coalition meeting on Friday. I don't know that there was anything really new there, except that it sounds like Carroll County will be getting the Moderna vaccine, and they will start vaccinating, inoculating people tomorrow. I think that is the plan. And you probably all heard that CBC and Walgreens is providing the staff and the vaccination for all the nursing homes. I think that's probably about it. I don't think there was anything really new that came out of that other than that. Now, that was my week. I have just going to be celebrating Christmas this week.
Okay, I can go. Last week I had the daycare. They have one child currently exposed, is in quarantine because of exposure, but not an actual positive test. We did have 2 emergency let goes last week within the daycare. And then also, with regret, Lori Pedig is stepping down from the board of directors. I think with her new position at the cancer center, she's going to be, a lot of times going to be occupying that space. So with regret, we will, she will be leaving. She is going to stay and help the next director as far as the board, try to walk them into areas. She's been with them for 9 years, 9+ years. That was about it. There were some financials and checks written and balances. I can leave that up in Courtney's office if you have any questions. Then I had, along with Dean, the Hungry Canyon Alliance. I will agree, it was an extremely, it was a very long meeting. There was a lot of information. I did accept the nomination to join the scoring committee for the Hungry Canyons Alliance. And if Dean gets that email sent out, I also have the Golden Hills RCD.org website that I can send to you. I talked to Zach through this meeting, and we kind of discussed some areas of how this is applicable to Carroll County and the areas of concern and things like that going forward. We're going to kind of partner so that we make sure we're using the best of our time. Then after that, I had Wesco. Everything is going well at Wesco. We've had a few cases of COVID, but they have purchased Victory sprayers. So every time there's a positive case or anything like that, they are going into the homes now routinely and disinfecting the homes. Great news, they did receive 100% forgiven loan on their paycheck protection program. And that loan amount was $1,047,200, which is great. And their turnover rate is at 1%. If you want to touch a little bit about COVID, they have 4 staff members that are actively positive and are in quarantine. They did have their CARF survey on December 9th, 10th, and 11th, but it was virtual, so that was a little bit different for Deidre to have to go through. And then we had the budget, the sheriff's budget. We were all there for the comp board, and then the emergency coalition. The only thing I'll bring up about that meeting, Dean touched base with it, but the question did come about if vaccines were going to be mandatory, and they will not be. And
That was for
then-
the hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I did have a lengthy conversation with Neil as far as kind of a guideline as far as a newly elected person coming in, do's and don'ts and things that would be helpful. I remember 2 years ago when I was newly elected, some things that would have been helpful. So Neil has taken the time and created a binder for all the boards that he has set on, any important meeting information to minutes to everything. I mean, Neil has truly gone above and beyond what I expected he would do. So thank you, Neil. It was fantastic. And I assume Scott's going to truly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And then I received quite a few phone calls and emails, just with odds and ends throughout the county. This coming week, I don't have any official meetings. I am going to do the newspaper and radio this week. And I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Started off the Tuesday at a waste agency, and I do have the audit report here if anybody would like to look at it. The financials, we went through the financials, we're in very good shape. Market updates were all over the place again. Cardboard is down. It just came through the period of extremely up, but glasses went up. So we're kind of bouncing all over the place, which is normal this time of the year. The landfill operations is going well. The solar that is up there continues to save quite a bit of money. So that's a good program we've been involved with so far. The COVID operations, everything's kind of staying the same. We're avoiding any problems, so I don't think we're going to change much of anything right at the moment. We did spend quite a bit of time on a leachate conditioning system. We had people from FOAT, our engineering group, online talking quite at length about the ammonia hit that we had. It was a one-time hit, first time we've ever had it. I've never seen it since. They're attributing everything to very dry conditions. And we think it's coming from the old waste that's been closed for quite a while. So that doesn't create quite a problem for us, but it has caused some problems with the city because they take our leachate. So we're looking at some options and some chances to change things. The next thing up, it was the WIWD, the Western Iowa Workforce Development. We did have a presentation on the upcoming financials problems that we're going to be seeing. We think we've got a workaround for that. Mark Thompson from the Region 12 made a presentation to help us with some transitional funds. Some COVID-19 dislocated worker grant was applied for, and it appears that we probably will get that, and that should solve some of the issues that we were chasing earlier. The one-stop operator decision has been updated. That was put on hold at right at a particular time until we get the financial piece cleaned up. Actually, the Workforce Development Center in Council Bluffs is looking to add on people. They are seem to be kind of getting a little bit back to normal about people looking for employment and in companies hiring. So there's kind of a natural marriage going on there, and they're getting more people online to get that solved. The CEO board and the membership, we had a long discussion about that. This originally started off with the chairmen of every county. We just had quite a discussion in the bylaws that we were gonna make a decision. Well, we finally made a decision that I think we're going to leave it as such until we get a little bit further down the road. And then we may move it to the chair of each county after that. But there's also a good argument for consistency. This is good policy also. So right now, for the next upcoming year, being just still rocky and there's things to clean up, we're going to hold the membership. So I will be serving on that one more year. I think that's just a good thing for us to be doing right at this time. On the 18th, Gene and I had a conversation with Chad, and Gene covered most of that. That went really well. I'm very happy with that part of the program right now. And then on the 18th, we had a comp board meeting that night, and you all attended that, and that's where we're at. I have nothing coming up in front of me this week, and that's a good thing. Courtney, where are we at? You have, just for everybody's information, next week's meeting, I will get more information out to you. And I would like for us to start at 8:45 for our meeting instead of 9 o'clock, so we can get open, get some keeping cleaned up, and then we can go into closed session because we need to join another group at 9 o'clock in a closed session. So we've got some hoops to jump through next week. So I was kind of hoping to start at 8:45 and give us 15 minutes to kind of clean some of that up. Courtney.
It's a bill day. And we'll do the oath of office. And I see that we had some nonprofits scheduled, but she must not have looked here, so I'm gonna have to have her reschedule them because that won't work.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah, good. This closed session, could take 10 minutes, could take 2 hours.
I think we'll just have to come another day.
Okay, any comments, Carl, from the public? Anything out there? Okay. Any comments in here? All right, I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion, but I want to say Merry Christmas, everybody, if we don't see you before, and Happy New Year.
I will second that, and Neil Bach, thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks, Neil.
And we'll see you next weekend, Neil.
Yep. You aren't done with me yet.
Oh,
All right.